So welcome back. This is episode 2 of this little series with some tips and tricks for improving at MxBikes. In this video I will go through some basic cornering techniques in MxBikes, mainly aimed towards beginners and amateurs, but I think it's good for even semi-pro riders or maybe even pro riders to kind of remind themselves of the fundamentals of cornering. But if you are new to MxBikes, make sure you get your settings styled first. I have a video on that you can find in the description or in the top right corner of the video. So before we start, I just want to say that you don't have to worry about setup with the things I'm showing in this video. Especially if you are a beginner, a setup won't magically make you be able to hit corners. So there are 3 different sections in a corner: the entry, the setup, and the exit. The entry of the corner is going to be the part before the actual corner. Here you want to adjust your speed and tackle any potential bumps coming into the corner. So the thing you want to do here is you want to lean back and have smooth braking. If there are any bumps going into the corner, you want to have your braking done before the bumps. Then what you want to do is have a little bit of throttle as you are going over the bumps. This will help free up the suspension and let you stay on top of the bumps rather than going into them. The next part is the setup phase, and it is the most important one in my opinion. This is going to be the beginning to the mid part of the corner, and the important thing here is that you let your bike settle coming into the corner so that it is connected to the ground and not bouncing all over the place. So when you have entered the corner and you are coming towards the beginning to the middle part of the corner, the thing you want to do is you want to sit down and lean forward. This will put the pressure on your front wheel, pushing it into the ground and making it a little bit easier to turn. At the same time, you want to start to lean the bike over to turn. When you start to turn, you also want to apply a little bit of throttle to keep the bike stable. So the more you lean, the sharper you are going to turn, and the more throttle you are going to need to apply to stay off the ground. Lastly, we have the exit of the corner. This is the part where we start to accelerate out of the corner. And when accelerate, we generally want to lean back to get maximum traction for the rear tire and stand up to tackle any potential bumps going out of the turn. So you want to lean back and brake going into the corner. Once you have entered the corner, you want to sit down, lean forward, and start to turn the bike at the same time as you apply the throttle. Once you are moving towards the exit of the corner, you can start to accelerate even more and then accelerate out of the corner. So that is kind of the general way to tackle corners in MxBikes, but you need to be able to hit all different kinds of corners. So we have flat corners, berms, and ruts. Flat corners don't have any berms or ruts to lean into, so you will have less traction. The way we hit flat corners in MxBikes is often by apexing them. So this basically means entering wide and turning as close to the inside as possible. This will open up the corner and allows you to carry more speed. Now, since the corner is flat and you have less traction, you have to be a little bit careful how much you lean over. So just be careful with that. For the throttle, you want to keep a little bit of throttle all the way through the corner until the exit, when you kind of straighten up the bike and you start to accelerate out of the corner. Make sure that you have smooth throttle so you don't spin out or anything. So moving on to berms. When hitting a berm, you want to enter at the beginning of the berm and not come into the middle of it. So you want to enter at the very beginning and then you want to ride out around the whole thing, so you don't enter in the middle and have to turn around. It's also important that you let your bike settle coming into the corner, so that you can get into the berm and start to accelerate early. If it's a tighter berm, you want to sit down to be able to turn a little bit tighter, but if it's a wider berm, you can most of the time just lean back and stand through the whole corner to have more traction to the rear tire. Ruts are the most difficult thing in a corner, and is a thing that most people often struggle with. So getting good at hitting ruts could really save you a lot of time on track So it's highly recommended that you actually learn to hit ruts. So in ruts, it is important that you let your bike settle and that you get into the rut. So most times you have to enter the rut a little bit slower than you normally hit corners, just to make sure that you actually get into the rut and set up properly. One thing I find that really helps is to stand up further into the corner or stand up the whole corner. And you want to make sure that you have just a little bit of throttle, just to keep the bike steady and flowing through the corner. You don't want to be rolling it, because then you have less control of the bike. By applying just a little bit of throttle, you help the bike stay steady and it is easier to go through the rut. It is also easier to catch your front wheel on the inside of the ruts, so focus on really getting into that outside of the rut to avoid catching your front tire and tucking it. So that's all for this video. I will be making a more in-depth cornering video in the future, and I also have more MxBikes tips videos coming out in the near future, so make sure you are subscribed and stuff like that so you don't miss it. But anyway, if you have any questions, just leave a comment or hit me up on Discord and I will respond within a few days. So yeah,